I'm a poet. Burn for you. I get them mixed up, confused. Dinosaurs for dragons, dragons for dirty white girls in tank tops, rolling drop tops, and them for the devil, but only after. I come from pitch dark terror and troubles that trump tender tendrils of goodness of God, but I would burn the world. Hold on just a second with the turn page. Burn, I've been drinking. Burn the world down just to give you a bucket of ashes if that is what you want. I would throw old people, the handicapped aside, in burning stacked brick building to save you. I would smother the breath of your lover if you nodded and told me to. I would commit murder, treason, and heresy, blasphemy, anathema. I would be that and more. I would slap at angels like mosquitoes and kick deities in the ass like mouthy cowards, afraid of what I might do next. I would fly into fiery fate with you if you would but choose. I would fight God for you and lose.
Whoa! Attaboy, Booth.
Drink too much. Another sunset. The air of downtown hung on us like chains, heavy as Marley's sins. She sat in a chair by an open window, her tan legs crossed at the ankles and hanging out over a Chester Street sidewalk across from a pizza and beer joint where I read poetry once a month. I still had on yesterday's clothes, and my beers would get warm while I watched her eating frozen grapes. Just a couple of blocks away was an architectural firm in the upstairs landing outside its back door, where I used to lay my head each night. A couple more past that, the Salvation Army, and a small crowd of invisibles waiting for dying day's last meal. What are you doing tonight, baby? And I look at her through the bottom of the jar like my mother used to put up vegetables for the garden. I need to write. She smiles like an 8-year-old who has managed to trick the tooth fairy for an extra dime. When it cools down some, we can get naked, take a nap. In the tiny kitchen, I reach and open the refrigerator without standing and pour another beer into the mason jar. Sure, baby, sure. And I cannot wait for another sunset. She mentioned masturbatory poetry earlier. All of my poetry is masturbatory. In fact, I can't even make love to a woman. I can't even jerk off unless I imagine that that woman says, "I love your poetry."
You just love rubbing it in public.
Certain kind. Last one. In those days, it was just beginning to be noticed that they would come to him, often a student from the local university, sometimes amused, occasionally, rarely, a protege, and they would pretend to love him, and he them. Flash fire, hot and fast, sweat and bruises and sweet juices tender, trailing fingertips and dirty talk. But it was the inevitable breakup, tears and curses, the self-loving heartache that he craved. Your poems suck. Shouted the best of them, the ones that knew how to cut him deepest. And he'd paint them out of pictures, gave waitresses their pet names, the ones he'd always called them. And drunk on the petty drama of the broken-hearted, he'd wander blindly down dirty streets, tickle the lock of a boarding house door, and enter the smothering silence. Dickie, he'd say to himself, and sit at the keyboard, lit by a shabby single lamp, and peck away at the night again. Thank you.